and welcome to Jessie James Beads. My name is Jem and today it is all about all heart. At the centre of Jessie James Beads, aside from the beads, is love. And hearts are a brilliant way to share that feeling in your jewellery creativity. So I don't know how much of the new collection you've seen, but I've got a little handful on my board today to share with you. And we're also going to be making what could be a pendant, could be earrings. It's entirely up to you. Why don't we head down to the board and then we'll take a quick look at some of the items in the beautiful All Heart collection from Jessie James Beads. If you would be so good as to give me a little hello, just to let me know that you can see and hear me broadcasting out to you today. Let's do a quick switcheroo on the camera and we'll take a quick look at some of the beauties in this collection. So this was a strand that I de-stranded. There are pastel hearts. I don't know what the name of the strand is, but aren't they pretty? They look like sweeties. Please don't eat them. Do not eat the beads, but how gorgeous are these? Sharon's popping in to say hi, can't stay, but can see and hear you. That's really helpful, Sharon. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you, albeit briefly. Catch me on the replay. If you do watch this on the replay, give us a comment with hashtag, can't do it because I've got a fistful of beads, replay. Hello, Rose. How are you today? Where are you watching from today, my lovely? So on the strand, there were some absolutely beautiful. What's my favourite colour in the world? It might be purple. So there's these lilac-y purple, gorgeous puffy hearts. We've got buttery golden yellows. We've got some pastel greens as well. Reminds me of pre-night, that one. We've got beautiful summer sky blue. You're watching from Maryland. Welcome. I hope that you've had a beautiful day today. Have you been creative today? Have you managed to make something? Anne is watching from California. Is it still drizzly, my love? Hope the weather's treating you kindly. So that was actually one of my favourite strands. I think they might be ceramic, but I'm not 100% sure. They've got a gorgeous high glaze to them. Absolutely lovely. So I've got some pastel hearts there, part of the All Heart collection. And I'm so drawn to this beautiful multi-textured heart bead that I think we might actually just have to use that today. So I'm going to pop that down to one side for using in just a moment. Also, I don't know if you've seen the little birds from Jessie James Beads before. Jessie James birds. They are absolutely adorable. It's a warm winter's day in Ohio where it's 60 degrees. That sounds a little bit more beautiful than it is here, which is a little bit yucky. It's a beautiful mix we've got going on right now. I love this soft gold textured pad bead. Beautiful colours and textures in there. These are very organic. Bibbly bobbly is what I'm going to call them. I've no idea what they're actually called. Still drizzling in California. We've got these fabulous washer style beads as well. I love the juxtaposition between, let me just pop those back into the mix, between the gorgeous sultry luster on the washers and the soft semi-matte on those golden pads. So there's two mixes from the All Heart collection. Now this was a strand that I cut and used some of to make a piece of jewellery which will be heading to YouTube very soon. Sharon says, made some Christmas earrings for my hairdresser. Sunny but cool in Tucson. Hi, Carrie. Where are you watching from today? Margaret, I know you're watching from Edinburgh. Is it above freezing today? I know the other day it was very chilly. How pretty is this gorgeous glass heart? Feels like there's a textured centre. It's not quite foil, but is utterly stunning. So that's another. There's not much left of that one. I kind of used a lot of that one in my YouTube video, which will be coming out on YouTube probably next week, maybe the week after. Who knows? Kim says, gorgeous sunshine today. However, winter snow returns in a couple of days. Stay safe, my lovely. Carrie's watching from Michigan. How are you today, sweethearts? I hope that you are all keeping well. Just giving you a quick sneaky peek of some of the All Heart collection. Don't know why I chose to sing it then. just randomly happens sometimes. Now, this was a strand. It looks an awful lot like impression jasper. Goes by a whole bunch of different names, this one. But it's like a lace effect on the bead. Absolutely beautiful little perfect hearts. Really gorgeous. I've used some of those as well. They are fantastic. Just above freezing for Margaret. It's a little bit warmer. Today I'm slap bang in the middle of England in a county called Oxfordshire, about 20 miles away from Shakespeare's Stratford upon Avon. Now, as part of the All Heart collection, we've got this Murano inspired glass heart. How utterly fabulous is this baby? I have been lucky enough, when I was a young person, I went on an exchange trip to France and I saw not the glass of Murano, because that would need to be in Venice, which is not in France, but I saw some glass being formed and I watched people, artisans, making glass pendants in heart shapes, and it's an art form. It absolutely is so clever. That's really, really beautiful. Ooh, those hearts. You are not wrong, Sharon. I'll catch you on the flip side, darling. Don't forget to catch us up on replay. So these are large drill holes in these flat back puffy top hearts, and they're so richly red. They're decadent. Again, I must stress this very firmly. Do not eat the beads, but they kind of look like cookies. Kind of look like cookies. Shh. Beautiful, says Margaret. They absolutely are, aren't they? Oh my goodness. How about this little beauty? It looks like a jewellery box fit for a queen. Multiple different medias all mixed together to create this gorgeous encrusted heart. How fabulous is that? With this almost mystic topaz look around the edges. Really gorgeous. Now, I had 3 of these. They could be pendants, they could be charms, they could be zipper pulls, handbag decals, key rings. I had 3 of them, and I've used a couple of them in a technique which will be coming out on YouTube very soon. I've got 1 left. Isn't it gorgeous? Very modernistic. So on the back, you've got beautiful textured gold, which by itself looks very high-end anyway. And on the front, you've got this, I imagine it's a poured enamel. Really beautiful piece. There were 3 of these to choose from. I've already worked with 2. That's how gorgeous they are. Now, these little doohickeys are incredibly helpful. I think you've already seen some techniques from my other beautiful designer colleagues here at Jessie James Beads. This has got a screw barrel closure. So you can use this actually to shorten large link chains. You can use it as a connector on a bracelet or a necklace, or you can use it at the top of a pendant. So that screws back on when your fingers work, it screws back on anyway. I've damaged my hand. I'm trying not to show it to you too much. These are so cool as well. I've got 2 choices to work with today. I've got black with super vibrant pink dots, and it's just got a little hinged opening there. Now, can you see the size of the aperture that gives you? It's absolutely huge. You can use that on really big chain. You can use that on necklaces again, pendants at the center of a choker. And I've also got one with red and almost like a golden drop of honey on the top there. So that's just a small sample of the All Heart collection here at Jessie James Beads. This is what we're going to make together today, just as a little bit of a very achievable tutorial. So if you've never worked with wire, super easy. This one, really, really easy, I promise. And I'm not using tons and tons of different tools. I'm going to be working with my memory wire finishing pliers, which are absolutely fantastic. But if you don't have those, you can simply use your round nose pliers, or you can use your multi-step bail makers, whichever one you want to. I'm also going to be using some fine-tipped flat facing pliers. So these are my bent chain nose. Chain nose simply means tapered. These are quite fine at the end, which is really useful for working with wire. The main thing is they have beautiful, smooth, flat surfaces, and you can handle your wire with those really beautifully. I have a second pair of chain nose pliers. These are plain tapered. And I've also got some flush cutters. My favourite cutters in the world are these Beadalon Professional Flush Cutters. I absolutely love them. I don't want to use anything else. And I might, just as a bit of a change, because I made this kind of as an earring. I was thinking that it could be an earring, but also I've just found in my stash this little lobster clasp. And I thought I could show you how to attach that in at the top so that you can make this into a little handbag charm or a keyring if you wanted to do a giftaroo. The gift of love is always a welcome gift, especially when you put time and effort into things. So in terms of wire, I'm going to be using a length of 18 gauge round wire. For my pals in Europe, that's a 1mm wire. And I'm working today with a medium copper. It's around about a 12-inch length, which is far more than I need, but I've got an idea for us to add something at the end. Now, the focal distance on my camera is set up for just here. So if things in the corners are a bit blurry, it's so you can see what my hands are doing in the middle. So maybe I'll try and put that up at the top. Guaranteed to absolutely swipe that any second now. So I'm going to work with one of these gorgeous heart beads again, but you can work with any bead from the All Heart collection. Actually, let's have a look. Did you want to work with the multicoloured bead from that gorgeous bead mix, or should we go for one of the pastel hearts? What do you think? Grab a couple of pastel hearts out, I reckon, just in case you fancy working with one of those. Let me know if you fancy a pastel instead of this gorgeous textured heart, which has got a fabulous little flower on it. It's almost time for snowdrops already. Create with just hanging around is Marisol in Tucson. Hello, Marisol. How are you, darling? I hope you're having a beautiful day today. So as ever with wire, I'm going to give that a bit of a warm through. Now, it's not as cold as it is for Margaret today, who's about 1 degree Celsius, which probably is about 33 or 34 degrees Fahrenheit, I imagine. It's not very toasty in Edinburgh today. Where I am, it's a little bit warmer. So the wire is being relatively cooperative, which is always good. The pastel purple heart for Anne. Okay, that's what we will work with. Anne was fastest finger first, as they say on a certain TV quiz show. So we're going to create with the beautiful pastel heart. How gorgeous is that? Really lovely. Margaret wanted the textures heart. Well, you've already got one, Margaret, and I'll send that one out to you next time around. That will have your name on it, my darling. But I'll show you how we can add more onto that a little bit later. 12 inches of 18 gauge round. This is a medium copper. Let's give it a warm through. We're going to find the middle of that length of wire and create a loop down at the bottom of the heart. Now, this is the easiest way to make a heart ever. I used to make them freeform when I first started working with wire, and then I found that you could cheat your way to a really nice even heart. So I'm sharing that with you. Those hours that I had crying, trying to make a perfect heart, and all you need really is a pencil or a marker pen or something like that, just to create one lobe at a time. So that's about the right size for the height that I've created. So if I flip that over, do the same on the other side. Now I'm going to make one purposefully smaller so that you can look at them and go, well, asymmetry is not on my list of things I want today. All you would do is just pull that along until the heart sits in the right place. There you go. So you can take that back down as well if it's too high. Just rotate that around, pinch the top of the heart lobe, and then just open out that section of wire, and you've got a perfectly formed heart to work with. Super easy. So what we're going to do now is to turn upwards on one side. So let's grip a hold just here, bring that wire up and away. And on the other side, we're going to create a spiral. So if I just lift that ever so slightly, I'll show you sideways. I've lifted the tail of wire that's coming downwards, just slightly forward, a little bit forward there. And I'm going to trim a tiny bit of that wire away until it's about 2.5 to 3 inches in length. Let's just get that gripped. And I'm going to bring in again my memory wire finishing pliers. What I'm going to do is just think carefully about the downward wire. I'm going to pop it on the side that means the spiral I'm about to create. So let's grab with the either your round nose pliers or the memory wire finishing pliers, create the beginning of a circular form. And that's going to sit inside one lobe of the heart. So push that into your non-dominant finger. The slower you go when you're making spirals, especially if you're newer to wire work, the neater they will be. So just keep rotating that wire around. Keep rotating that wire around until you get almost all the way to the top. And then kind of slow right down, because what we want to do is to pull that into the lobe of the heart. Can you see it's still sitting up a bit at a funny angle? I'm just going to push that down by hand to get it to sit. But you'll notice that there is now a gap. There's a gap on that spiral. So the outermost pass of wire on that spiral that creates one side of that heart, there's a gap there, and that's because we want this to be nice and strong. So I'm going to bring in my second wire now. I've got some silver plated medium copper wire. This is 26 gauge for my European pals. That's 0.4 millimeter. And what we're going to do is to go down to the side of the heart, which has the spiral on it, and we're going to start wrapping around with the short end going upwards towards the spiral. So if I just bend that over the top, just get yourself a start point. When things are fiddly, just make a start. So I've bent the wire over. You might need to switch the grip around just to make it as easy as possible for you. And what I'm looking to achieve is 3 wraps around the wire that leads up to the spiral. And the cut end needs to be going towards the spiral. So you can do this a lot easier when you haven't got to think about camera angles or anything like that. But what we're looking for is 3 nice, neat little wraps. So I'm just going to bring that towards the front for a second so that I can trim away. Make sure that you look twice, cut once, and then you don't cry. Bring that tail as close as you can get it to the harder wire, the bigger wire. So just rotating around with the tips of my pliers there makes that nice and smooth. Make sure that your coil's nice and neat. What we're going to do then is to scooch that all the way around so that it sits just below the cleft or the cleavage of the heart. Now the finer gauge wire is underneath at this time, and I want it to be underneath both the upright section and that coiled section. So I've got 3 wraps around just the coiled section. What we're going to do now is 3 wraps around both the coiled section and the upright. So let's take the tail of wire. It's come up from underneath and poke that down in the gap around the outside of that heart spiral section. And I'm going to go for 3 wraps connecting the spiraled heart side and that center line. So that's just 1. Let's go for another 2 wraps. So post the end down the hole, draw that wire neatly into position, and then scooch that down so it's super neat. You don't want to be pulling really, really hard because you may pull the wire work out of shape, and then this lovely heart form that you've created won't look quite so heart-shaped, and it will be sad if that happened. So let's go around for a 3rd rotation encompassing both of those wires. Scooch that down neatly, and then we're going to finish with 3 wraps around the upper wire that's coming away at the core of the design. Now, it doesn't have to be 3, 3 and 3. You could go for as many really as you want, but when you're tying on and tying off to a wire design and you're working with this 26 gauge or 0.4 millimeter wire, I would say that 3 wraps on a single piece of the 18 gauge wire is the minimum you need for strength and security. And we do want these pieces of jewelry that we create with our hearts to last for a long time. So I'm going to go for another 3 wraps all the way around that core wire. And then if I flip to what was essentially the rear side of my design, trim that away. And the wire I was working with was a scrap length of around about 12 inches. And we've used not a huge amount. You don't need a massive amount. I would say probably no more than sort of 4 or 5 inches is needed. But it's easier if you have a longer length available to work with. If you work with very tiny scraps, it can be very fiddly. So I'm just tightening up all of those wraps at the back. Flip over to the front, making sure everything looks neat and the wires are not crossing over anywhere. Once I'm happy with the neatness, I'm going to give it a swish, like so. Very, very softly, just to tighten everything up. What we're going to do now then is add on Anne's purple pastel heart. That can slide down into position at the top. It could spin if you wanted it to, or you can make that a little bit more firm if you wish. So we're just going to go for a wrapped loop up at the top. So if I grab my bent chain nose pliers and hold them in a really funny way, just going to create a loop up at the top by bending that wire forwards. Now, if you are making these earrings, you need to make the loop up at the top opposite to your earring finding. For instance, if your ear wires are coming forwards and you've got a loop sitting sideways, you will need the wire to come forward so that when you attach that to your earring finding, everything lines up really neatly. So I'm using, again, those memory wire finishing pliers. I use them every single day for jewelry making. And I tend to use them a little bit like a mini bail maker, just squishing to add strength, or like a repeatably sized round nose plier. And what I mean is you can get loops the same size over and over and over and over again. Beading with Nicole is in from Michigan. Hello, love. How are you? I hope you're having a gorgeous day. So I've just got a standard, it's sometimes called lobster, sometimes called parrot clasp. It's a clasp. Let's slide that onto the very top of our wire, push that down into the loop, close the loop up gently. Now, the reason I had 2 pairs of pliers earlier is sometimes it's easier to hold when you're finishing a wrapped loop with a second pair of pliers. So if I just grip a hold of the loop on one side with 1 pair of pliers, you can start off by rotating that wire around. And I'm just going to go for 3 rotations of wire above that pastel heart, not getting too close. Then we're going to trim away the tail of that wire. Doesn't matter if it goes a little bit bendy because we can centralize that in a second. And then what you'll want to do is get right inside that last little bit, which is why sometimes having that second pair of pliers, let's see if I can do this for you today with a second pair of pliers. Sometimes it's too much information in the front there and you can't really see what's happening. But what I need to do, if I flip that over to the other side, you'll be able to see we've got a sticky uppy bit. Can you see that bright white end? That's the fresh cut section of copper wire. What we need to do is to rotate that around so that it sits flat against the core, all the while being mindful of that bead. So very, very carefully rotate around with your second pair of pliers and you'll find that you can smooth that down. So what we've created is a heart with a heart, but it's a secure, because we've got that little extra bit of winding wire in the center of the design, everything's held together. So if you wanted to add a little bit more to this design, let me find my 18 gauge. That's 1mm wire for my European pals. And let's find another bead from the collection. Beading with Nicole B says, I'm great, thanks, hope the same for you. That's jolly kind of you, thank you so much. What should we add to the bottom? I'm going to add another dingly dangly bead to the bottom of the purple heart design. And I'm going to just make a little head pin whilst you tell me which bead collection you want to work with for that little addition. I'm going to start by cutting away the jagged end of my wire, grabbing in my memory wire finishing pliers to create a small double spiral. Just rotate that around, and all we're doing really is making our own little head pin. So push that wire into your non-dominant hand until you get 2 rotations around that center aperture. Give it a squish when you're happy with the size. And then I'm going to draw that wire away at a right angle. So I've got a little down at the bottom. Margaret has gone for the black beads. So one of these, I will admit I was very drawn to this as well. And I used one in my YouTube tutorial, which is coming up very soon at Jessie James Beads and on the blog and on Facebook. I've used those beads as well. Margaret, you've got great taste, sweet pea. So all we're going to do is add this as a little extra added link into the bottom of the design. So if I grab across the wire, the little circular section is down at the bottom, same orientation as the desk. Draw that wire up and away, and you'll see that I left a little gap. That's to protect the bead. So let us now grab in with the larger side of my memory wire finishing pliers. We're going to create an open or simple loop just by drawing around that round form. Give that a squish to create some strength. And now we're not pressing down where the wires cross over, but what we are going to do is cut where the wires cross over. And we're just cutting that little tail away. It's quite difficult to show you because you've got to get quite close in there. These little bits of wire, they travel at supersonic speed, so be careful. Black goes with everything and makes it stand out. You're absolutely right. Classic collection, having that extra sparkly black beads. So I'm making sure that the cut end of my simple loop sits against the angle change, giving it a squish, and then I'm going to open that as if it was a jump ring and slide it on in to that lower loop. Close it back up again. There we go. So you can take a little bit more time to make sure that that's good and strong and all nice and neatly lined up. But there is your all heart. Could be an earring, could be a pendant, could be a handbag charm, could be a zipper pull. Don't know, could be almost anything. Let's have a gander at those beautiful all heart beads again. So I've got 3 of these connectors, I suppose. Really, really generous size on these, and they're metal, so I think they're going to last quite a while. 2 different colorways I've got on the board to show you today, but obviously you can head over to jessiejamesbeads.com and have a look at the rest of the collection. This one has got an encrusted barrel, so I don't know if you can see all of the sparkle because the focal zone is set for where the action happens. How beautiful is that? They are absolutely gorgeous. So you've got clasps and connectors there. We've got a Murano inspired heart. Look at how gorgeous that is. Absolutely beautiful. You've got the don't eat the cookies cookie style beads. They do look like iced cookies to me. Maybe I need to eat something. You've got the jewelry box heart. How gorgeous is that? And that's a massive drill aperture. Love this one, all beautiful. It's a fabulous collection, isn't it, Margaret? Thank you so much for all of your positive comments. This is Jessie James Beads with All Heart, which is a fantastic collection of love-inspired pieces. We had this impression, sometimes known as sediment or imperial jasper. I actually don't know which one it is. It was on a strand. They're so, so cute. It looks like lace laid over. It's gorgeous. We also had the Pastel Heart collection. Beads with Nicole B says, nice, thank you so much. Rose Pope says, love your work. Thank you. That's really kind of you. I appreciate your feedback. Pastel Hearts in purple, yellow, green, blue, and pink. And they are really delightfully shimmery, shiny. This is all that remains of a strand that I worked with the other day. The video will be launching on YouTube very soon. But how gorgeous is this centerpiece? This would work really well on the design we've crafted today. And then you've got this bead collection with the fabulous birds. Let me just grab out the multi-textured heart again. How gorgeous are they? There's a green one. I would like to make those as earrings that match but don't match, if you follow my logic. Love the purple. Yeah, me too. It's really pretty, Margaret. Thank you very much. There is no rule that says earrings have to be identical. With wire work, we strive to create pieces that tend to be reflective of one another. But when you're working with beads this beautiful, I would absolutely go for green on one side and yellow on the other side, or these absolutely adorable little birds. They're so, so cute. Right, let's flip you round to the other camera. Dun, dun, dun. Hello, how are you? Have you enjoyed yourself at the All Heart collection here at Jessie James Beads? Might be sharing just a little. Oh, that's coming to YouTube soon. Coming to YouTube soon. If you want to see more content from all of our fantastic designers, don't forget that there is a blog, a YouTube channel at Jessie James Beads. We've also got loads of replays over on the Facebook page. So if you have any questions at all, you can always feel free to drop me a tag and I will endeavour to answer any questions. I hope that you're loving All Heart as much as I am. I've got this pair of glass cubes. which work really beautifully well with this collection as well. Any questions at all? Let's have a look. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Thank you very much. And the hearts are all lovely, says Sandra. Love JJB. Me too, funnily enough, which is why I'm still here, however many years later it is. 3.5 years? I can't even remember. It seems a while now. I love your accent as well. That's really, really sweet. Thank you ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to hang out with you, my beautiful Jessie James Beads friends. My name is Jem, and I will be back with you in the new year with I don't know what. Who can say what treasures await? I look forward to it, my darlings, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye for now. Mwah.